Welcome back to Amani on Air. Today's episode is about a hijacking. No, not what you think. We're going to talk about the hijacking of tragedies to perpetuate political motives, and especially hate and collective blame on entire groups of people, on an entire religion. Yes, I'm talking about the Bondi Beach shooting, obviously. But I also want to talk about the aftermath of it. The grotesque state-sanctioned Islamophobia that we're witnessing take root in our country. That some of our politicians were eager, excited, deliriously happy even to weaponize this tragedy in order to perpetuate. I'm going to explain to you exactly how they're able to manufacture falsehoods that you, the watcher, probably think is true about Islam, about Muslims, about the Bondi Beach shooting, their motives in doing that, and why it's more important than ever for us to be on alert to being manipulated. This is the first episode that I have ever not prepared for. This week is kind of on a somber note, I would say. My question is for you to just take the next 5 seconds to listen to this tweet. Diversity is not our strength. Diversity has become suicidal. It's time for a Muslim travel ban, radical deportations of all mainstream Muslim legal and illegal immigrants, and citizenship revocations wherever possible. Mainstream Muslims have declared war on us. The least we can do is kick them the hell out of America. This is probably one of the more mild tweets that Congressman Randy Fine has made over the course of the past few days since the tragedy that took place at Bondi Beach on the first day of Hanukkah. And when I say that it's just one of many, when I tell you that the very first one was, I would say, within the hour of the news breaking, this tragedy took place against Jewish observers of Hanukkah that were convening for a social event. We have politicians in our government right now that are hell-bent on destroying our country from the inside out. When you are attacking individual communities like this, that is the only outcome that we're pushing towards. We have some politicians, not all. I would never say that all of Congress is like this or all of our leadership is like this, because they're not. Congressman Randy Fine and far-right extremists like Laura Loomer are trying to turn up the pressure to impose their extremist views on people that are representing our communities within our government. They are salivating at the mouth to make Muslims enemy number one again. And I'm going to get into why in the course of this episode, but it shouldn't be lost on anyone that people like Randy Fine and Laura Loomer, who are both Jewish, by the way, did not even allow a beat for us to mourn this tragedy before they jumped on weaponizing it to ignite hatred against, in Randy Fine's words, all mainstream Muslims. And I will say this is the first time, it's only from Randy that I've been hearing this term of mainstream Muslims. Muslims ourselves don't even use this word. I don't think any of us have ever referred to ourselves as mainstream Muslims. Like, what does that even mean? Okay. What Randy Fine is trying to say is like, hey, just so you know, I'm not talking about only the extremist Muslims. I'm not talking about jihadis. I'm not talking about self-proclaimed terrorists. I'm talking about any person that identifies as Muslim, any person that follows the Islamic faith, the second largest faith on the planet after Christianity, okay? That they are all our enemy. They are at war with us, and they need to be destroyed. They can't be welcome here. I'm not going to get into over the course of this show why that obviously is simply false. Listen, if 2 billion people in this planet were hell-bent on being terrorists and imposing violence on their communities or taking over the West or whatever, that would have happened by now. This entire planet would have already been under Sharia law by now. Obviously, that's not the case. When I tell you that millions upon millions of dollars since 9/11 happened have been, I guess now in retrospect, absolutely wasted on public advocacy efforts to inform and educate people about Islam and to push back against stereotypes, our Muslim Girl platform included. We've done this before, okay? All of it is out there. You can find the Muslim voices. You can follow them. You can search the communities online and hear from them directly. You can even search within those communities to like hear what we talk about, okay? Randy Fine and Laura Loomer know this, okay? This is not at all any type of concern for the safety and security of the United States of America. Not at all. People like them jump on atrocities. They jump on tragedies in order to sow divisiveness within our country. Obviously, one of the number one ways to dehumanize an entire population of people is to homogenize them into one group. When you make a global population of 2 billion people on the planet that come from every walk of life, that speak every religion, that come from every culture, literally come from, like, I'm not saying like they're converts, no, like actually like born, raised from that culture that are Muslims. When you attempt to make that 2 billion population of people into like one group, that's the first step towards genocide. According to the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust, the very first step towards genocide, dehumanizing a group of people to the extent that you are willing and capable and desiring of exterminating them, is classification. Classification is when you attribute an identity to them and you make it us versus them, which is exactly what Randy Fine is doing, right? We are the West, Muslims are them, they are against us, we are against them. He is trying to draw a line in the sand as if like Western Muslims don't exist or something. And this is nothing new, right? I mean, like I said, literally since 9/11, we have been in the clutches of this Islamophobic rhetoric. It has, I would say, lessened over the course of the past 2 decades. Obviously, it gets reignited at different moments in time. The first term for Donald Trump, when he came on the scene and started talking about a Muslim ban and things like that, that was the first severe spike in Islamophobia and Muslim hate crimes since 9/11. Like, they actually exceeded the hate crimes immediately since 9/11. So that just goes to show that we don't even need a tragedy in order to inspire hatred against a group of people that we might not understand because they are marketed as being different than us. All it takes is hate speech. All it takes is rhetoric like this, which makes it all the more dangerous when a sitting member of Congress is speaking this way about their own constituents. It's vile. It's disgusting. It should have absolutely no place in our American political system. Again, I'm sharing this with you all as an American Muslim girl. An American Muslim girl that was born and raised in this country. This country is literally the only home that I've ever known. New Jersey is my hometown. That's where I grew up. And 9/11 happened when I was literally in elementary school. So my entire life has been lived under the shadow of this post 9/11 anti-Muslim rhetoric. So I know a thing or two about it, especially as a hijabi, as a veiled Muslim woman, okay? I'm here to make this experience accessible to people, to put it in layman's terms in a way that people can grasp and empathize with, okay? In this era, in this moment in history, it's Muslims. But as we know, over time throughout history, it's always been different groups of people. And depending on where you are geographically in the world, you could easily fall into that group. So us drawing a line in the sand of the hate that we will not tolerate against any group, regardless of you belong to it or not, it absolutely serves all of us. It serves the collective, which makes it all the more shocking when Randy Fine, again, a Jewish person, engages in this type of rhetoric. Yes, he should absolutely know better, and he does know better. And how does that classification manifest? Well, as we see, whenever a crime is committed by a Muslim person, our media makes sure to identify that that person is a Muslim, to program us to understand that bad equals Muslim, right? I want you to actually ask yourself, like, think about when else do we ever hear in the news about some type of crime taking place where it is a priority to identify that individual by their faith? It never happens unless they are Muslim. And in recent cases, unless they're Palestinian. That's what we saw happen with Bondi Beach, right? Unfortunately, this disgusting situation happened. This disgusting act of terror took place that targeted a faith-based community. We condemn and stand against the hatred and attack on any faith-based community, any minority community at all. Not only because morally it's f***ed up and it's wrong and we should stand against it, but also because we understand that an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. An attack on my Jewish sister or brother for her simply being Jewish is also an attack on me as a Muslim woman. An attack on my Christian brother or sister, any discrimination that they might experience in whatever context it may be, that also is an attack on myself as a Muslim woman, especially the Abrahamic faiths, okay? They all come from the same source. There are far more similarities between us than there are differences. And yet our media and American society is hell-bent on completely blowing out the differences that divide us. It's a choice. And it's an intentional one. When that generalization takes place, what that does is it turns every Muslim's life into hell, okay? I can tell you, growing up after 9/11, there is absolutely a collective blame that's placed on us. What in the world do I have anything to do with 9/11, right? Literally nothing. What in the world does somebody like Zahran Mamdani have to do with 9/11? And yet 9/11 was one of the central talking points in the tail end of his campaign. Nothing aside from the fact that we are Muslims. That is so crazy, okay? That's like saying, look, the majority of mass shooters in America, by a large margin, are white Christian men. That's the equivalent of us saying every white Christian man is a terrorist. Every single one. Listen, we have lost hundreds, if not thousands of lives to gun violence. The main perpetrators of that gun violence are white Christian men. Take out even the white men category of it, just Christians, committed by Christians. That means, by that logic, we are going to presume that all Christians are terrorists. All Christians are colonizers. All Christians are genociders. All Christians are mass shooters. How disgusting and offensive is that? And why is it that it only seems outrageous and offensive when you fill in the blank with any other religious group other than Muslims? Why is it that Muslims are the one minority for which it has become so widespread accepted to be Islamophobic? And yet, all of our attention, all of American society, every facet from the government to the grassroots right now is fixated on anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is a problem. It should absolutely be addressed, yes. But it is in no way anywhere near as big and pervasive and systematic of a problem as Islamophobia. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Like, you can go ahead and answer this. But where in America, in the UK, and Australia, do we have an elected official saying things like, it's time for a travel ban on all Jews, radical deportation of all mainstream Jews, revocation of citizenship for all Jews? Does that even make sense? No, obviously it doesn't. Where do we have any elected official speaking this way completely sanctioned about any other minority group other than Muslims. You will not find it. This is within the system. Islamophobia is built within the system, okay? It has been going on for decades that Muslims are collectively blamed for the actions of any individual that identifies as Muslim. Now, in this period of time, it is more dangerous than ever, ever for that to happen, for something horrific like the Bondi Beach shooting to take place at the hands of a Muslim. Why? Because right now we are in the midst of an ongoing genocide on a majority Muslim population. Now, Palestinians, as we know, they're Muslims, they're Christians, and yes, they're Jews. Okay? Point blank. However, we know that one of the primary strategies of the Israeli government to perpetuate its genocide is this us versus them mentality. The us versus them mentality isn't just against these Palestinians, it's against Muslims. The Israeli government only benefits from Islamophobia, it benefits from anti-Muslim hate because the entire world has opened their eyes to Israeli war crimes. And unfortunately, Israel is committing those war crimes in the name of Judaism. Now, if you caught the last media panel that I did on Al-Arabiya with Hen Mazig, I explained this in perfect detail about what's taking place here, okay? You have an apartheid government that is committing a mass genocide against a civilian population, and they're doing so in the name of a religion. From the words of their own leaders. We're not over here like, you know, attributing, like a lot of people want to say, like, oh, it's because of the Muslim religion they did this. It's because of whatever. Israeli leaders are straight up saying, we are committing these actions in the name of Judaism. And that is obviously very strategic because if they're committing these actions in the name of Judaism, which obviously has been rejected by Jewish people all over the world who refuse for a Holocaust to be committed in their name. They are disgusted by the actions of the Israeli government. They're disgusted by Netanyahu and they don't want anything to do with that narrative, okay? But it's strategic. Why? Because the Israeli government wants all of us to be silent about their war crimes under the label of anti-Semitism. They want to equate any valid political criticism that is protected speech that we are all entitled to. They want to eliminate that by claiming that it's anti-Semitic. We can't question their actions. We can't criticize their actions. We can't stand against their actions because if you do, then that means you're against the Jewish people, which is false. And I will say, I personally have witnessed an increase in anti-Semitism, like actual real anti-Semitism, aka like a hatred for Jews, not just for Israel, but for Jewish people. And in every single instance that I've seen this, it is 1000% rooted in witnessing the actions of the Israeli government in the name of Jewish people. Because people in their head, they're like, okay, if war crimes, if genocide is sanctified by Judaism, that must, and I hate genocide and I hate war crimes, that must mean I have to hate Jewish people because Jewish people are committing this. Jewish people believe in this and they're defending their right to commit these actions. Obviously, this is not true. The actions of the Israeli government are absolutely not a reflection of the Jewish people as a whole. Again, we reject the homogeneity, the generalization, the classification of an entire population into one homogenous group of people. We reject that because we know that that is dehumanizing, it's objectifying. And that's how events like the Holocaust happen. So then my question to Randy Fine is, according to his logic, where we have to blame all Muslims for the Bondi Beach shooting, we have to expel all Muslims because of this one individual, right? They kept referring to the hero Ahmed, which I'll speak about in a minute. They kept referring to him as just one good Muslim. Like, how fucking offensive is that, bro? Like, imagine us going around saying like, oh, there's one good Jew. One good Jew. What the Okay, we would reject that outright. We would obviously identify that for the hate speech that it is. My question to Randy is, if all Muslims are to blame for the actions of one individual, of these two individuals at Bondi Beach, and that they all deserve to be, and all Muslims deserve to be expelled because of it, then are all Jewish people to blame for the actions of the Israeli government? Are people like the Bondi Beach shooters, are they justified in their hatred and their acts of violence against the Jewish community? Because that means the entire Jewish community is collectively responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, majority children? Are we to blame the entire Jewish population for killing babies, for maiming kids, for producing the largest population of child amputees in human history? Or is that collective blame only acceptable when it's committed against Muslims? I think we deserve to know, because it's not one or the other. If you believe that any group of people can be collectively blamed, I don't care what your opinion about Islam is. See, here's the thing, like, people justify collective blame by saying, like, oh, but that's what the Islamic religion teaches. They're all made to believe this. They have to subscribe to this belief. They have to commit jihad against us if they want to be true Muslims. And when Muslims themselves are telling you, no, we don't, then they whip out this concept of like taqiyya, that like Muslims are supposed to be manipulative and like whatever. It's just like, bro, I've never heard of the concept of taqiyya except from non-Muslims. Like, I've only ever heard it on social media from non-Muslims trying to justify anti-Muslim hatred. I have never heard of this concept before. The vast majority of Muslims, I guarantee you, have never heard of this concept before outside of the context of anti-Muslim hate being driven online. Like, it's all of this propaganda, this like cherry picking of different bits and pieces of information to typecast people as a whole, to justify that hatred, and it's like, and it can so easily be done for any religion. It can so easily be done by, taking excerpts out of the Bible. It can easily be done by taking excerpts out of the Torah. And yet it has defined the way that Americans understand Muslims. And like, honestly, I will tell you, okay, when I heard about the Bondi Beach shooting, obviously my first initial reaction was, oh my God, I hope everybody's okay. Oh my God, I hope that there weren't mass casualties. Oh my God, like, is the shooter captured? Has this been stopped? Is the violence put to an end, My next immediate thought, and I guarantee you is the exact same thought process for like probably every Muslim, I'm not even kidding, but the next one is, oh my God, panic mode that the shooters were Muslim. Panic. Why? Because we as Muslims, we've been conditioned to understand what to expect after that. We know we're going to be put through hell for the next several news cycles. We know that, there's going to be a political backlash, the likes of which we never see for any other community. The next thing is, I can't tell you, as I was catching, because it happened in Australia overnight, and I didn't check my phone until morning time, obviously, like several hours after all of the news broke. The sheer relief that fell over me when we found out that a hero, a bystander, stopped the violence, that they tackled the shooter in a heroic action of complete selfless bravery and courage, and were able to disarm him, and did so even at their own personal expense, suffering 2 gunshot wounds. Thank God that they survived those wounds. But to find out that hero was a Muslim man, and a Muslim man named Ahmed Al-Ahmed at that, okay? I can't tell you the relief that I felt. And, I told you guys before that I do believe everything happens for a reason. I believe that things are maktub, that things are written, that things are destined, okay? I truly believe that it was written for this one man to be there at that time and to take that action that he did. Because God forbid if he wasn't there, if it wasn't a Muslim to put an end to that violence, I can't even imagine how much even uglier things would be right now. They're ugly as F right now. They are disgusting. They are deeply, deeply disturbing. But they would have been so much worse. And you didn't need to look beyond the reactions of these bigots on social media to understand how powerful and impactful it was that Ahmed saved the day. Because, like, for example, like Laura Loomer was having a meltdown, like throwing a temper tantrum that this guy was Muslim. People were immediately trying to discredit the fact that he was Muslim, pulling at straws to somehow make him non-Muslim. Suddenly he became Lebanese. Suddenly he became a Maronite Christian. Suddenly he became a Coptic Christian. Even Netanyahu was quick to jump on the conclusion that it was a Jewish man and to take credit for his bravery and his heroism. And the completely baseless rumors that spread on social media, all that did was muddy the waters of this man's identity. You know, even after Australian media interviewed Ahmed Al-Ahmad's cousin, who confirmed that Ahmed Al-Ahmad is a Muslim Syrian immigrant, a father of two, and a shopkeep owner, still people are debating whether or not he's really Muslim. Okay. Why? Why would they do that? Why would they care so much other than to justify their hatred of Muslims, other than to prove the point that they're trying to make, that we should hate all Muslims? There are no good Muslims. There's only one good Muslim, if that's the case. I mean, literally, even up until this morning, one of my former professors from Rutgers University was posting on his own social media asking whether or not he really was Muslim or if he was actually Christian. And that's coming from a tenured professor. All that to say is they really think that driving up anti-Muslim sentiment will somehow distract from all of the violence and the war crimes and the hate that we have witnessed on our phone screens and on our monitors for the past 2 years that were committed by Israel. And obviously, you know, the unspoken elephant in the room is the idea that if we can show that all Muslims are bad people, then we can justify this genocide, then we can lessen any type of public dissent from this genocide. If we can get people to hate Muslims enough, then they will jump on the bandwagon to support this genocide. That's the bottom line. That's what it comes down to. And they really think that we are fucking stupid to fall for it. So please don't fall for it. Like, don't be so easily influenced. Pro-genocide, pro-Israel, far-right extremists like Congressman Randy Fine, a sitting member of Congress, like Laura Loomer, who is credentialed in the Pentagon Press Corps, they really, really have a personal and political stake in brainwashing you to hate Muslims, and they will keep beating your head in with it. You know what? Like, I have to get even more specific than just far-right extremists, because there are actually like far-right extremists that have called out this bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so shocking to me. At this point, everything is propaganda. For this week's Gaslight of the Week, there is no Gaslight of the Week. The entire media industry is getting Gaslight of the Week at this point, because we have been hit with nonstop gaslighting, nonstop, ever since this story broke out. I'm going to react to some of the replies that I got on my X posts. So I posted this tweet. The top reply says, if your religion wasn't set on globalizing and spreading into every other country, then it wouldn't be front and center of attention. Remain in your countries and practice your religion there. Nobody would care. Bro, like, the lack of education is crazy because, like I said, Muslims literally come from every country on the planet. Like, born, raised culturally from those countries. So This idea that like Islam is spreading and all of that stuff, it's like, you know what is causing Islam to spread? The hatred, genuinely. Like all of the intense anti-Muslim hate and media propaganda against Islam resulted in the highest number in droves of people converting to Islam ever, because it compelled people to ask questions and to be like, what the heck is this religion that I keep hearing about on the news all the time that's like hell-bent on killing me? And when they start researching it, when they look into it, they end up falling in love with the true nature of what a religion actually is when they learn it for themselves. So you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot with that one there, buddy. Shael said, really love Shael. Everyone should go follow him if you don't already. He said, Jewish Muslim solidarity is the way forward, my sister. Abso-freaking-lutely. Like, it's the only way forward, honestly. And I seriously appreciate my Jewish brothers and sisters so much that make it a point to stand with the Muslim community in moments like this, because they understand the ramifications of it. And that's why it is so important to me as a Muslim woman to stand against anti-Semitism whenever it happens. Steven said, it seems like 2003 all over again. Yup. This person said, you're a foreigner in a foreign land. That's why you feel out of place. Go back home to where you'll be happier. Like, born and raised Jersey girl, buddy. I know you guys love it when I remind you of that, but this is actually my land. I'm more a foreigner when I visit my parents' countries than when I'm in the States. Like, it's just so crazy. And that concept also applies to immigrant communities that have been here literally for like decades, raised families here, built lives here, contributed to the economy here. For some people, they're just like, your skin color is different than ours. You speak a different language. You're a foreigner. Case closed. You don't belong here. Someone said, Islam, victimhood at its finest. Please. Muslims are the ones pulling the victim card. Like, please. Stop trying to globalize the intifada and keep your barbaric practices in Iran, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, and all the other Muslim countries, and it won't be politicized. Keep shooting people at the beach, etc., and it will be politicized. If that's the case, then how come Charlie Kirk's murder wasn't politicized? If that's the case, then how come mass shootings in the United States of America, where it happens more per capita than any other developed country in the world by a long shot, how come we haven't politicized that? Who are the ones committing more shootings than anyone else in the world? Mass shooters in the United States of America. How come we haven't spoken about gun control since Charlie Kirk's murder a single time? Why wasn't that politicized? Now imagine if Charlie Kirk's shooter was a Muslim, which is what crazies like Laura Loomer were hoping for at the beginning. Like, imagine what would have happened in this country if the shooter was a Muslim. But no, shooter was a white guy. So this person said, because your religion is a problem. Again, this is what happens when we make it a point to always identify Muslim perpetrators by their faith. I guarantee you, if we did that in the news every single time a crime was committed, you would have a vastly different and skewed perspective about which religions, quote unquote, are a problem in this country. Obviously, there are a lot of replies that are very disrespectful and defensive to my religion. I don't disqualify those because I know that there is a lot of misinformation, and a lot of times these prejudices are rooted in people just lacking knowledge, like being ignorant. And I don't say that negatively or positively. Like, some people are truly just ignorant and they don't have the information, they don't know. So I will be doing another video to directly address a lot of the accusations, misconceptions about Islam and things like that. So if that interests you, then please do leave a comment with what you would like me to address, because I know for a lot of people that are just recently finding my content, for a lot of them, I'm like the first Muslim woman that they've ever interacted with. So I'm happy to answer those questions and to address those things. You are not the victim. You are the unwelcome terrorist invader. I gotta tell you, like, US mainstream media and Hollywood did a really fine job of establishing that stereotype. So thanks for that. All right, guys. Well, that's all for this episode. This was a really tough one for me to record. I'm not going to lie to you. See you back here next week for the next episode of Amani on Air.